Okay, so you're out of school, correct?
That is correct.
So when you were in school, you went to New Orleans Public Schools.
Yes. I went to both magnet schools, which is more public, and I also went to charter schools when they first started.
Okay, if so, let's start off with: Did you come in? Did they have any challenges that you had in school?
I feel like there were different challenges, but depending on the school, for like magnet schools and like public schools, even though they're more local, there are a lot of them are resource strapped. So when even though there's teachers who wanted to do things, there was not enough money or resources for them to do it, so they didn't have individual classes. Meanwhile, charter schools, while they probably did have money because that was the first rush where everyone was thinking this was a gold mine, the problem was staff and administration not being properly trained. And so you had a lot of like interpersonal, inter-school problems that were happening in school, especially when they were picking favorites based on like location, region, and things. What groups of kids they liked based off like what parents could come or what couldn't, and so on and so forth.
So, do you think in your let me ask this question. When you Was there a point in your schooling where you feel like you experienced classism and racism?
Oh, yes. Especially, I would say I felt that very obviously in my charter school era. There was a lot of incidences where I was basically treated as a second class citizen in my high school.
Okay, so what do you think that the community could, first of all, how do you think this had any impact on the community, and then what do you think the community could do if they had resources to help support students in schools?
It basically made a much more wider divide between the younger generation and the older generation, because a lot of the older generation did not have the ability to get to the schools to talk about the problems, if they even believed the kids on the problems. So some of the problems sounded absolutely ridiculous. I got penalized for a shirt because I had a half button on vest one time, and it was the most chaotic thing. Like, didn't have a piece of paper, my guardians would not have believed I got penalized for a shirt with just like a vest on. But that was like things like that kids got in trouble for. The adults were thinking you're just you're just kind of being soft in my day, and the kids got frustrated, so it caused us a bigger divide. And it's just and then if parents did believe it, you're talking about all the meeting times are when most parents are doing work, most parents are doing one to two jobs, and only parents that are free are those who are stay-at-home moms, middle to upper class. It just created an environment with the ones who had even the ability to have voices were ones who were not having the problems, which covered up a lot of things.
Okay. Was there anything else you would like to say about schools and challenges of schools and remedies? Because we're very interested in solutions.
I think one of the more interesting problems then one of the remedies I think of is that school, for me, one of the things is that schools shouldn't be allowed to cherry pick, and if they do cherry pick, they're not allowed to like treat those students any sort of way. Because if your student has problems, say the student doesn't have like cleaner clothes, they may not be always able to wash, they may not have access to food, especially when schools have bigger budgets. Instead of just being like, oh well, our budgets are full and everything else, they know perfectly well they have a budget for it. They know perfectly well their CEO or whatever is basically getting a bonus, and they give themselves year-side bonuses. They should only be allowed to give themselves year-side bonuses if their community is actually doing well, and not just the community that comes to their meetings, but also the community they haven't reached. So basically, if you can give yourself a bonus if you know every single need that can be filled is met by all your students and staff, then you can give yourself a bonus. Until then, you can live without that bonus. You can really live without that money.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your input. We appreciate you giving us the time here at Amplified Justice Community Education Project in New Orleans and YPAR. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.